Hey, what's up, writers? And oh, I spilled. Well. Hey, what's up, writers and readers? My name is Frankie Hope, and welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my channel if you're new. I always get that wrong. You would be amazed how many times I have to film that part. Today I want to talk about something I've been seeing a lot around everywhere, and that is imposter syndrome. I want to talk about that today because it's something that I have struggled with in the past, both just as myself as a person but also as a writer, and so I'll just kind of share my experience. So what is that? Let's take to Wikipedia to get a definition. Wikipedia says, imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. I think a lot of times people associate this feeling with women, but actually statistically it's pretty much even between the two categories, and more inclusively I think that everyone, no matter what gender or sex you have or identify as, has imposter syndrome or has felt it. But I think the writing community is unique because we often get comments like, oh, you're not published? Well, are you a writer? Oh, you're not working on anything right now, so are you a writer? And the questions just go on. People are really concerned with success and writers, and if you're not successful all the time right now and forever, then suddenly you're not a writer anymore or an author. And for a long time I was really afraid of being successful. I was afraid of taking on more responsibility because it didn't matter how much I studied, how much I had done something, a process, how much I knew how to do something. I always just thought that other people knew how to do it better, or would find out that like I had to study this thing to figure out how to do it, and I just didn't have the innate ability to do something. And I noticed that as I kept going in my career specifically, it just got worse. I just got more and more afraid of being successful the more successful I was. And for a while I got really stagnant in my career because I didn't want to take that next step. I didn't know if I was good enough to take that next step, and I want to tell you how I got rid of that because it completely changed my life. And I don't want this imposter syndrome to be romanticized and something that people, oh, I have imposter syndrome, like it's some sort of cutesy club thing, because it really does affect people. It affected me really negatively, and I think other people might want to know how I got rid of it. One thing was I was open about it with my wife, and I would urge you, if you have imposter syndrome, to find a person that you can trust completely and tell them, you know, I'm feeling really insecure about this and here's why, but also talk about your accomplishments in that area and why you are successful. So I guess a good example would be I graduated my associate's degree at 16. Before I graduated high school, I was part of a special charter program by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and so I had a lot of academic success at an early age, but I somehow just felt like my degree was never enough. I went back to a university, I got my bachelor's degree, and in my field I kept meeting people that would look down on me because I was so young and didn't want to trust me with responsibility even though I was capable of doing things, and they didn't know that I graduated early and that's why I was so young in my field. They didn't look at me and see all of my experience and all the things I'm great at. They looked at me and saw a young kid who they didn't want to trust their business to. And you know, it's up to me to show people that no, I have accomplished a lot and I do know what I'm doing. And so talking about that with someone that I trusted really helped me stop those thought processes in their tracks. And that's another thing that I want you to do. Whenever you have these doubtful feelings, just say no. And if they keep happening, you can even say no out loud, but give yourself a rebuttal. Like, no, I know how to do this. This is what I want to do. And just stop your inner monologue in its tracks and offer some positivity instead. One thing I mentioned was that I was afraid of taking on new responsibilities, and you just gotta make yourself do it. Just get out there. Raise your hand when someone says, who can take this action item? Be the first one. If you take agency over yourself and whatever you're doing and put yourself out there, you won't have time to think of whether or not you are a fraud or you're not as good as someone else who could have done it, because watch someone else do things sometimes and you're like, oh wow, yeah, I could have done that better. Not that I'm into myself. So my next thing is be a mentor for someone else. It often helps to have a mentor, and we have lots of mentors in writing and publishing, but also be a mentor for somewhere else. It doesn't matter where you are in your writing journey, you can always find someone who could benefit from what you know and teach those people. It'll give you more confidence, but also it will show you all of the things that you do know and that you are capable of, and being a rock for someone else really gives you the stability and shows you that you already have that stability. And so the last thing I want to talk about is letting yourself be vulnerable. You do not have to be perfect all the time. You do not have to get everything right all the time or on the first try. In fact, most things are not perfect, and you won't get everything right on the first try or the second try or even the third try. What's important is that you're doing it and you're putting yourself out there. It's also important to learn how to take criticism. I think part of having imposter syndrome is that we're terrified of getting a bad critique back, because then it's like that, oh, aha, I found you, you are a fraud moment, you know? But criticism, it just helps us grow as people, and if you take it constructively and take it to heart, then it helps you learn. I'm not saying that all criticism is correct or helpful, but I think embracing criticism is also something that can help change that mindset. Being lenient with yourself and just knowing that we are people and we are learning and we're all doing that together. You are not alone. There are other people who are going through exactly the same thing. In fact, probably a ton of people, a lot of people. Google imposter syndrome and CEOs and you will see male, female CEOs and bigwigs in companies who say, you know, sometimes in leadership I have no idea what I'm doing, and it's terrifying because everyone looks at you and thinks that you know what you're doing, and you just have to take risks and get out there. And that is what I want you to do. Take risks and get out there and really own your life, and don't let fear of not being good enough stop you from being everything you were meant to be. Comment down below what your experience has been, if you agree or disagree with any of this commentary, and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, because it'll tell you when my next video is. I post every week. As of right now, it's Thursdays, and sometimes I post 2 or 3 times a week, so I'm posting. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.